You are inside the studio with Powertex. Welcome to the Mixed Media Podcast for artists, crafters, and adventurous creators. This podcast is for you if your creativity cannot be defined by any label, and where the only limit here is your imagination. I'm Michelle Brewer, Creative Director at Powertex UK. Now let's talk all things Powertex, mixed media, and creativity. Today, I'm delighted to introduce you to Sandy. Sandy's story is one of those that stays with you. Originally from Africa, she brings a lifetime of memories and experiences and a deep love of the natural world into her artwork. Her Pathway project is far more than a sculpture. It's a deeply personal tribute to the landscapes, wildlife, and people that have shaped her life. She calls Africa her heart. And at the heart of her work is a powerful conservation message. So Sandy has witnessed firsthand the dramatic decline of Africa's vultures, birds that are often misunderstood, yet they play a vital role in the ecosystem. And through her artwork, she hopes to not only celebrate their beauty, but also to raise awareness of their plight and inspire others to see them differently. What I love about this conversation with Sandy isn't that it isn't just about creating art. It's about preserving memories, telling stories, and using creativity to shine a light on something that truly matters. Sandy shares how the Powertex Pathway gave her the confidence to transform her experiences into a piece of work with both personal meaning and a wider purpose. I hope you enjoy hearing about the inspiration behind her remarkable sculpture and the journey that brought it to life. There is also a link on this podcast for you to donate to the vultures, the hospital that Sandy talks about, and you can find out more about her work there. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Sandy. So here we are today talking to the lovely Sandy about both of her sculptures that she created for the Pathway. So Sandy, would you like to introduce yourself and tell everybody just a bit about you?
Certainly. Well, I've spent most of my life in Africa. I came back to the UK 21 years ago. And at that point in time, I hadn't been here for 39 years and got a very rude awakening with motorways. So that terrified me out of my wits. So that was the first thing. I never thought I'd drive here, never mind anything else. Yes, I've been creative all my life. I've always worked with my hands. But apart from that, I farmed. I had a plant nursery. And I think I've been very blessed insofar as in Africa, you were made to get out and do things because you didn't have anybody to run to up the road. So you had to fend for yourself. We had like an hour and a half drive to the nearest town to pick up supplies and things. So yes, I've always created and I love it. It's what makes me.
And being independent, Sandy. So the motorways were never going to defeat you, really. I think since I've met you, your independence and you just get on with things, and you're really always willing to try something new as well. You know, new things are exciting rather than daunting for you.
Yes, I love experimenting with things, and Powertex has given me the ability to do that. I actually first saw Powertex. It was 10 years ago, I think, plus might have even been 12 years ago. And for whatever reason, I think it was about the time when I went back to Africa to nurse my sister through the final stages of cancer. And so with all the turmoil, I forgot about Powertex. And then I tried to find it and I couldn't find it because I couldn't remember the name. Being dyslexic, if I don't write it and see it physically written down, I don't remember things. And so when I did find it again, couple of years ago, I was so excited because I was already in my heart convinced that this was the medium I wanted, and I knew I could excel in, for want of a better word, in my own way. And
wow, I'm so pleased you found it again, Sandy. I really am.
So yes, well, so am I, and I'm still so excited about it.
So you've been using it probably for 2 years properly, and you are still just as excited as you were in the beginning, if not more so.
Yes, absolutely, because every time you use it, you get a different effect, or something else happens in it that you weren't expecting. It just has an amazing forgiveness as well in what you're doing, because if you do make a mistake or botch up, as I call it, you just let it dry and you go back to it.
So tell us about your sculptures that you created. You made 2 separate ones. You made the head, and then you made your signature piece. So tell us about those.
Well, starting with the head, because that was the sort of set piece, I think, more than our signature pieces. That one, I saw the head when I looked at that, and I saw the brief, and I thought, oh, help. This is not me. Where do I start? Where do I begin?
And is that because it was a human head rather than an animal head? Because
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I didn't know how to tell what I saw as a human sort of story. And then looking at what the ideas that everybody else was coming up with, I thought, oh, I can never compete with this. I just can't do this. And I went through various stages of ideas of what to do. And I think perhaps because we started with black as the background, and I never worked with black before.
The black Powertex. So that was not your go-to color. Okay.
It wasn't my go-to color at all. And then I saw I've got a black head. Well, my obvious route is to go back to Africa. And we always say, everybody who's ever lived in Africa for any length of time, we always say, you can leave Africa, but Africa never leaves you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And so I went back to Africa, and then I'm thinking, now, how can I do it? And I had 2 favorite trees. And the one in particular was a favorite because you regularly found leopards in it.
Okay.
But the blooms were to die for. And the blooms hung on almost like a branch mobile, with them all coming down in different levels. And so they would start off as a pale yellow, but fairly vibrant, although it was pale. And as they opened and got bigger, it came out this deep sort of maroon scarlet sort of cross with this yellow center. And it had these long sausages as the fruit. And that got me onto the gathering aspect, because I wanted to incorporate a leopard with my head, but I couldn't get it to work for me. I wasn't happy with the result I got that way. So then I thought about another tree, which is the baobab, which has the most amazing fruit and is a lifesaver of Africa in the drought, because the trunk holds water. And the fruit, I can remember as a child playing out in the bush, and we'd smash a fruit open and we'd suck the pips. And then it sort of refreshed you and moistened your mouth.
So very important in a hot, dry country with a lot of drought.
So that was, and then they they used to harvest it and take all what was on the pip off it into a powder. They'd scrape it down into a powder and bash it. And we called it the cream of tartar. And we used it in cooking and baking and all sorts of ways. Now, the other tree that I was talking about, the sausage tree. Now, it's called, its proper name is a Cagelia something or other. But I'll just go with the sausage. It's easier to remember.
Yes, it is.
And that fruit is deadly poisonous without doing an awful lot to it to make it usable. But the leaves and all sorts of bits of the tree are used for traditional medicine.
Oh, that's clever.
And in fact, there's one tribe that even has made beer from the sausage.
That's
so
exciting.
It shows you what sort of treatment process it has to go through to make it safe.
Mm-hmm. The alcohol making process. I like the sound of this. And why do the leopards love that tree so much? Did it provide shade, or were they tall?
It was an upright tree, very tall, so nothing could get at them. But I think because of the way the sausages and the blooms hang down, it was always protected. It's an evergreen tree. But so in the winter, it always had cover in the leaves. But it would have the blooms and the sausages all to hide behind. So it was actually very difficult to spot them.
I see. So camouflage as well. So the trees provided the inspiration for your head.
They did. That's where my inspiration for the head came from. And yes, so it just grew as I worked on it, because I just thought, what do I do? And the other part of it was, normally it's the women that go out and collect to a degree, and particularly on the baobab side. And I can remember the women with the huge baskets on their heads. And I didn't think my head what I'd come up with looked like a woman. So I had to make it sort of masculine. But I wanted it to really be proud and in your face type of thing.
Yeah, a strong sculpture.
Yes. We had what were called witch doctors out there, and they were the medicine men. And they always came out with elaborate headdresses and things like that. So that's where my sort of inspiration came from on doing that piece. But once I got into it, it flowed.
I think the fear holds you, the concern that you're trying something new, and when you're doing something different, it can hold us back for a while, can't it? Until we see the way forward, like you've just described. You found your inspiration, you started work, and then it flowed.
Yes. And I mean, I looked at it for a long time, because I had it sitting there with this leopard head, half a leopard head, and I couldn't fit it in anywhere. And if I were to do it now, I possibly would have exaggerated just the one tree, the sausage tree, and had a big branch. I have a branch coming over, but I would have made it better and maybe had a leopard lying across the branch.
Yeah, the leopard in a tree. It's such a famous pose.
Yes, so I might have done that had I, but I was focused that I had to do this head. Somehow I had to work around this head.
Well done, Sandy. I think it's a very exciting and interesting piece of work that you've created. Now, tell us about the one that we have here. Tell us about your vulture sculpture? Because this is enormous. You don't really get a size of it looking at it here. It's very tall and wide. Tell us all about it.
Well, this started quite by accident insofar as I had found, and this is also my passion, reusing things that keep them out of skips and landfill and things. And I had found sitting on a building site this cable drum, which
and that's the base of this, isn't it?
That's the base.
The base at the bottom is a large, and it is large, cable drum.
Yes, so that was my base, and it was, I think, diameter across was 50 centimeters, but I did add pieces on because I was trying to disguise the fact that it was around. But when I looked at it and I was standing above it, I had a vision of that river and mountains and foliage and stuff. And I thought, now, how and what am I going to do to implement that? Because I saw it as a world.
Yes.
And
the drum, the base itself is a complete sculpture. Even without the vultures, it's such a wonderful piece of work to look at as the base. And I've been looking at it for a while, and I still don't think I've discovered everything. Every time I have another look at this sculpture, I find something new. There's a lot of detail on that base. Very exciting. It's a world.
Yes, it is. It's my world. It's the world I left behind. It's the only way I can explain it. The river is the Zambezi, and it goes into the Victoria Falls.
And you've got those Victoria Falls going over the edge, haven't you, there?
Yes, I've got the Victoria Falls. I've got my Zambezi River where it's big and wide, and I've got it coming from the mountain, and I've got it when it's dry and a little bit insignificant at the base.
It's so beautiful. I think you really, because you have such a love for that place, you've got so much detail in there, and this is from your memories, isn't it? This isn't, you didn't sit here.
Yes, it is. It's what I hold in my heart. It's
so beautiful.
So that was the start. Where the vultures came in was from something I saw called Airborne. And that immediately drew me to them. And I thought, but I've got to make them fly because, and that's where the whole story came from. Once I got the Airborne bit, that I was going to do the vultures, which are critically endangered.
And they're three different vultures. These are not just three vultures. They're three different vultures, aren't they?
Yes, and they're there for a reason. The bottom one is the hooded vulture, which is so critically endangered. There's only, I've forgotten the actual amount, but there's not many nesting pairs left. And they are the birds, they've got the little beak, and they're the ones that get into the marrow and crack the little bones and get the marrow out and everything.
The delicious marrow, apparently. That's the bit they enjoy.
It is. And then there's the white-headed, and again, he's pretty critical as well. Critically endangered. And they've got the most gorgeous colouring if you get them clean, because they've got this white head, and then they've got pinky bits and purpley bits and things on their face as well. And then the lappet face is not, he's critical, but he's not, no, he's endangered. The other two birds are critical. He's endangered. But he just is the one vulture that I've recognized and known all my life, because he was always around us on the farm and things like that. And so he's very special to me, and I had to have him at the top. And he's the biggest and probably the boss of all the vultures.
He's the boss. He's sailing over the others there, isn't he?
He is the boss. When he's at the head of the pecking order, all the others bow down to him when they're on a carcass feeding.
I love that. And so vultures can, they haven't always been the most popular birds. They're usually the baddies, aren't they? And in movies or in Disney, I think that they got a bad press. But they're beautiful animals. And part of your creativity is you like to raise awareness about the animals that are endangered or critical. And part of that was also in your sculpture, wasn't it? You wanted to raise awareness about their plight.
Yes, very much so, because there's couple of veterinary hospitals in South Africa that are trying desperately to save them. So if there's a carcass is found with poison and the vultures have been eating, they rush them back. They come and collect them and they rush them back and pump out their stomachs and keep them for X amount of time until they're certain that they've got them rehabilitated sufficiently. And then they take them back to the same area and release them. It's
amazing, isn't it, that this goes on, and such important work as well. So we'll put in with this podcast, we'll put some links where people can find out more information about the work that those hospitals do.
I must try and get the links of the two of them. I will message them before you finally, and I will try and see if I can get the actual links for them for raising awareness for funding would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's weird. But, I didn't know that such a hospital existed and that they did this work, but until you told me about it. So you telling us about it, we're already hopefully doing them some good by spreading the word. And and you've gone into a lot of detail with each of those sculptures. So people that know vultures would be able to recognize each of the different vultures that you've got. I do know the lappet-faced vulture because he features in a Julia Donaldson book, which is one of the children's stories called The Ugly Five. And that's where I know the lappet-faced vulture from.
Mm. Yes. So again, I brought in the Bushmen or the Sand people because they'd been around long before, for years in Africa. And where we farmed, there were some that originally used to live in that area. And we had rock paintings up on the wall. There was the pink elephants, hence my elephant on my rock painting. And on the farm itself, we had we called them copies, but it was like a hill area, but it was open inside. It was incredible. And I lost my son when he was 2.5 or thereabouts too. And we were walking and exploring around the copy with the kids and everything and the dogs. And my eldest daughter suddenly said, "Mom, KJ's gone." I said, "What do you mean he's gone?" And we couldn't find him. And we eventually scrambled, and I found a sort of little space under a rock right at the bottom. And my eldest daughter was little. And so I got spades and we dug it out. And I said, "Right, you can wriggle under there." And sure enough, he'd gone inside. And when we dug a bigger hole, eventually we dug it out and we got inside and you could see where they'd lived in their pots and their bits and pieces. So that must have been a sacred haven for them, because that was the only way in, was under that rock.
And your son had got in there like a little terrier?
Yes.
Yes. That's fantastic.
So that's why I incorporated them, because the vultures had sailed over Africa when they were around. And yet I've known them all my life, and in my lifetime they're critically endangered.
How sad that we've got that. And I love that your work has those different layers. So your love for Africa, your love for animals as well. So there are such varieties. You've even introduced me for new and different things that you do. I know you really enjoy making your animal sculptures, but then the work as well that goes on behind with the charities and the hospitals. So all of these different layers. What would you say to people that look at your work and say, "I could never make that," or people that really want to create, but they're too afraid to do so? What would you say to those people?
There's no such word as can't.
There isn't in your world, Sandy.
Not on your life. There's no such word as can't. If you don't try, you never know what
And
you
you
can
don't.
achieve.
You don't live in a big house. You don't have a huge studio. You don't have specialist equipment. You just work with what you can find, don't you, Sandy? You like that reel.
Yes, I work with what I find, all sorts of different pieces. I mean, getting in and out my house is quite a mission because I'm always walking around looking things. Like I found a curtain pole the other day. Oh, that'll be handy. So I came home with a curtain pole, but a wooden one, a beautiful pine wooden curtain.
I understand.
And everybody looks at me like I'm quite crazy, which they're probably not far wrong there, but I do. I just love creating. I love making. I love fixing things. And yes, and I know I have grown as in myself, because this winter I got through winter because I was working on a couple of projects and I didn't notice the grey and the wet.
Yeah,
Whereas
it has been a wet winter, hasn't it?
It has, and I've struggled with that on previous winters. You know, being on my own, and you look out and it's grey and you do this, but it hasn't fazed me this time because I've got something I'm doing.
Wow. So the creativity, and we have on the pathway, we have that community element as well, don't we? Where we're checking in. And I'm so pleased to hear that that's been a good thing through the winter for you. It's easier in the summer, but the winter can be hard.
The winter's very hard because you can't get out. You can't, and I'm used to being outdoors. I'm an outdoor person, and I just can't handle the cold. As I've got older, it's got worse and worse.
I think it's difficult to create in the cold, isn't it? You know, your hands are cold.
It is.
And also, if you're working outdoors and creating outdoors, battling with the elements is difficult. The wind and the rain, they actually can make it physically impossible.
Possible. Yes, it does. It makes it really bad. So, yes. And I've had such fun with this pathway. And I've only done little bits of this or that, but it's given me such confidence in what I'm doing now. I'm so excited with the pieces I've got on my workbench at the moment.
Oh, me too. I know you've got a pangolin on the go, haven't you?
I've got a pangolin and a couple of giraffe heads on the go.
How exciting. I love seeing your work, Sandy. It's always exciting. It's ambitious. I like that you do big pieces. You don't sit and fiddle, but it's such detail as well. And you bring a lot of realism into your animal sculptures, which is always exciting to see, but they have a story.
Yes. There's got to be a reason for doing it. I've got to justify what everybody says wasting my time.
Not wasting your time.
No, I don't see it that way, but you should be cleaning the house.
I am not in that group of people.
And you should have it so people can walk in and out, but not all your clutter everywhere. You know.
Well, we can disagree with those because your vulture sculpture is currently with me in my studio, and I really, really love it. I know we often say this about artwork, and we can look at pictures of it, but to see it in real life and to be next to it is really exciting. It's such a privilege to have here, and I love examining it and looking at it. And you were very clever and created it in a way that it could be dismantled, because I think trying to transport a sculpture like this would be difficult, but you're able to take those vultures out. So I thank you every day for that, Sandy, that you were clever enough to create it in a way that those vultures can be removed and then they can be protected as well, because that's a difficult thing with artwork, isn't it? Protecting it while you're transporting it around. But
it is. And that was the other thing about that. Sorry to butt in, but that was the other thing, because when I'd finished it and I'd gone to such lengths to make sure that the base was all waterproof and solid and all the way around, and I looked down and I could see down the holes, and I thought, oh my goodness, water can actually run down that into the center. So I would be defeating my object, because I've now got it all nicely encased on the outside, so it would hold water on the inside. So that caused me to make little islands, for want of a better word, at the base of those vultures to protect it from water going in.
Well, the little islands you colour matched them to the bottom of the rod. So you were able to tell which vulture goes in which space. So I thank you for that too.
So that was the crux. I thought, as I got to the end, I thought, oh, I'm finished. And then I looked and I thought, no, I haven't finished. I've got to somehow stop that water getting in at the base.
Well, they look amazing. They look absolutely fabulous. And each of the vultures are in a different pose. So you worked very hard on those and you really have done them justice. So it's been lovely talking to you, Sandy. Thank you so much for sharing your stories about your work. And I can't wait to see more from you.
Thank you. I've definitely be showing you some more.
Thank you so much, Sandy. We'll see you soon.
Certainly. Bye.
Bye.